Hello everyone, and welcome back to the layout. Today we have something a little bit different for a product review demo deal here today. We actually have some kits. These are from Bowser. These are the new ballast hoppers they just released, and these are pretty freaking cool, really nice, and quite affordable when it comes to the price. So I'm really excited about these, and I'm really excited to share them with you guys. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I show you the new ballast hoppers from Bowser. Alright everyone, so today we're taking a look at the 70-ton 2-bay ballast car kits from Bowser, specifically the Conrail painted and decorated ones. And since these are a kit, we're going to have to actually assemble these. So here you can see one of them here in our box from Bowser. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the box, and we're going to go ahead and do the assembly here. Do this here at the workbench before we actually take a look at these cars, because, well, I mean, that's kind of part of your whole your whole buying experience is going to be the assembly of these cars. So as you can see, they got everything pretty well packaged there. Would have been nice if this stuff was a little bit tighter in the box. I could, I always like it with a kit when everything's a little bit more stabilized and it can't move around so much. You could always risk stirrups and stuff breaking if there's too much sloppy room in there. Let's see, there's some directions. We actually will use those when it comes to doing all the brake detail on the ends, etc. Just kind of going through everything here, seeing what we got in all of our part sprues and bags and stuff, so that way we can get the assembly knocked out on this. So obviously we're gonna have to start off with like our under frame piece here. So we'll go ahead and we'll separate that from this big plastic deal. As you can see, I cut off that one piece just to get rid of it, so it's not wasting space there on the bench. And the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to start adding all of our brake detail on here, and this is where your instructions come in really handy, because then you actually know where all this stuff goes. I'm not what's the word here, not quite educated enough in how all this brake stuff actually works to know where the specific brake parts go on these freight cars. So some directions and or a car that's already built is very helpful in this situation to kind of guide me along, so I know where to put the one round thingy and then put the little thingy and put the other thingy, because I don't know where to put this stuff. So it's always good to have the directions to be able to actually know where it's supposed to go. And as you can see here, we're using a little plastic weld and just kind of popping that stuff in. And next up here, we're going to need these like M-frame cage deals here. And these will go on the ends here, as you guys will see. You put one on the underframe and the other one goes directly on the car. Found that out the hard way. The one, there's like a little nub in it here that goes into the underframe, is for the brake end. You put that onto the brake end of the underframe, and then the one that doesn't have the little nub deal goes in the freight car, well, in the car body shell deal. You see, like right here, I'm having that, like, how's that go on there? I can't figure out why it doesn't go on there yet. So here we have our little oddball brake piece here. this little like kind of crooked T-shaped thing here we got going on there. That's some kind of like arm thing there for your brake system. And of course, I'm you know, spending way too much time trying to figure out how this actually goes on there, because this is one of those parts that like I always feel like I'm putting it on facing the wrong way. Just no matter what I do, I always feel like I put these on backwards or upside down or something, and it makes me a little bit crazy. But now here we have our little other end piece here. Now, like I was saying, we got to put this in the body, and Bowser's kind enough to put like little tracks for these to slide into, which is great if you can get them to slide into them. As you can see here, I'm going to spend way too much time trying to get this thing to fit down in that track and actually fit in there right. For some reason, stuff like this, when the parts are a really tight fit, it makes you crazy trying to get them in there. And seeing we're still fiddling with it. I'm seeing, was I putting it in upside down? What's going on here, you know? And here we go again. We gotta try and wiggle it down in there, and we're getting there. Hey, it's in there. All right. That's a struggle that some of you will find out the hard way doing these. Just getting that to sit in that track can be a real booger. So as you can see, now we put our under frame in. Obviously, the end with no little frame piece goes on the end. We just put the frame piece on, and then this end with all the brake deal goes on the end with the brake wheel hole and all that fun stuff. So go ahead and just kind of pop that down in there. It's pretty tight fit, so generally work it down a little bit, kind of work the ends down in the middle, so that way you don't have one end get stuck or end up with a cockeyed where it won't go in there. And we're going to throw a little plastic weld there where like the bolsters meet the sides of the car body, and a little bit in the center as well, just to get it glued on there pretty good. I don't like to leave that stuff too loose. So next up here, I'm not sure if this is the next thing in the list of things we're supposed to do on the directions, because I didn't really read them. Here we have our trucks, and I'm going to take a minute here and talk real quick. The only real negative here for our trucks and everything was these wheels are plastic. But I'm pretty okay with that, because I replace all my wheels with tangent wheels anyway. So that's perfectly fine with me. I'd rather they use these cheap plastic throwaway wheels, because I'm going to end up not throwing them away, but end up, you know, swapping them out for tangent ones anyhow. So it's kind of nice to see that didn't spend any extra money on metal wheels that I'm going to end up replacing anyway. So that was a solid move by Bowser. I like that. They also sprung for the KD couplers, which I think was a great decision as well. It's kind of nice to have some actual KDs on here. And again, for the price point we're at with these cars, it's well worth it. There's a little hack here for you trying to put these coupler screws in. Watch that ring finger there. Look at that guy holding that screw with like the edge of my finger there on the tip of the screwdriver. That right there, guys, that's a little hack there for putting screws in. If you could get like your finger to hold the edge of the screw on it, it really will make life simple. And you know, sometimes you gotta kind of get those like little weird things when you're working on projects and you're doing stuff like this, where you really can hold the head of a screw in the tip of a screwdriver. You know, it's kind of one of those tricks that makes life a lot simpler. Now here you can see the 70-ton truck frames here. These ones for this kit had a little bit of flashing still on the trucks. I'm not going to take 5 points for that or anything. I'm just, you know, I don't really care. I'll just knock it off with my knife there. As you can see, it's not like a big deal, you know. So you can see we got our tangent wheels we're coming out with. These are 33-inch tangent semi-scale wheels I'm using. And the one thing I'll note here is with some of the other two cars I built with these kits, I used Conrail 100-ton roller bearing trucks under the cars, just because I like the look of the roller bearings better than the friction bearings. And one note I'll make is, if you use the factory Bowser 70-ton truck frames, your coupler height will be good, everything will be good. If you swap out to another brand, make sure you check your coupler height, because when I swapped to the Conrail ones, I ended up with low couplers. I had to throw some KD shims in there, which isn't much of a surprise. Whenever you swap stuff around, you'll have that problem. Here we go, got our brake wheel going on there. Gonna cut that out of our old big plastic sprue deal. And let's see, can Steve put the brake wheel on without breaking it and smashing it in the process. I always have a problem trying to do brake wheels. I don't know why. Whenever I try to press them in, they always end up flattening and stuff. So actually got that on there pretty good. Now here's another interesting thing. Here was these weights that go on the cars here. These were a bit of a... I was kind of confused with these. I wasn't sure how they were supposed to go down in here. And I spent, again, way too much time trying to figure out how these are supposed to sit in here. Because then you have these plastic pieces that go over the top of them to hold the weights in place. And they don't actually cover, like, the weights. They don't, like, cover up the entire hole down there like I expected. So I was kind of puzzled trying to figure that out, how they are supposed to sit in there to properly glue the holder in over top of them. And a little spoiler here for any of you guys that are doing this build watching this. You might want to add some weight to these before you put a load in them and finish the car, because they are kind of light. I know, those 4 metal sheets, they look pretty stout, but you probably need about 8 or 10 of those to actually get the weight on these cars. So you can see we're just kind of gluing them. I'm kind of trying to figure out how I want to put that in there, because it doesn't really seal off that bottom like I'd like, and really hold the weight in there. So this is what I ended up going with. I wasn't really that happy with how those sat in there, but it'll do just fine, especially considering, like I said, I got to add more weight to these anyway, so it's no big deal. Now here for these end pieces that go on the tops, had a little bit of a lose my mind moment with these, because I couldn't figure out how they were supposed to go on there, like which end was supposed to face out and which end was supposed to face in, and whether they were supposed to sit flush or not. I ended up having to look at Bowser's actual pictures to get it figured out there, because for some reason these have like this little plastic nub that sticks up way too far, and you got to trim it down. I don't know why, or else they'll sit too high on the end that faces outward and they won't sit flush like they should. See there, you kind of can see that a little bit where it's sitting up a little bit too high. And here we can see this was one I believe I trimmed down here to where it's now gonna sit flush, or maybe I didn't trim. No, I didn't trim it down. I gotta trim it down right here. So I'm going in there, I'm trimming that down. That's a real great shot there, because you guys can't see at all what I'm talking about, but that, I'll go ahead, and there you can see you got it sitting on there. Hey, it sits flush. That's the way it's supposed to be. So now we're good there. Now, as you can see there, you can kind of see that little nub there in the middle, that little round deal behind the square thing. You don't want to trim the square thing. That's really important. Leave the square thing alone. Put that round circular deal, that's too tall. You want that to be shorter than the square thing. So that's what we did there to go ahead and get that on there. You can see a little plastic weld, and bada bing, bada boom, it's on there. So that's really going to be about it for the building of these cars here. These are actually a pretty simple kit, pretty easy. Nice little project to do. I really enjoyed doing them. So let's move on to checking these cars out. Alright everyone, so as you've already watched, I've already done the assembly on these kits from the workbench, and we filmed all that. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the actual car here a little bit. Now this car here I actually assembled with the Bowser trucks. The only thing I did different was I used the tangent wheels, which I'm sure I mentioned during the assembly video. And this car, as you guys can see, is very, very nice. The paintwork and all that's absolutely awesome on it. The decaling and the printing, whatever you guys want to call it, looks great. I really like how you have the little patched out capacity data there. I think that looks good. And all the little labels and stuff look really, really sharp as well. Bowser's done these cars before, this new, but they were ready to run kind of deal. This run here is the first one they've done as like a kit form. So these are pretty nice. But as you guys can see, I mean, yeah, you got your molded on grab irons and molded on stirrups and stuff. But overall, they're pretty fine for being a molded on part. They don't look too rough. I mean, they look pretty sharp in my opinion. Of course, your ballast doors down there on the bottom, and of course your underbody looks excellent as well. More than you'd ever be able to see, but it looks good. You got some good brake detail down here on the end, as well as your brake wheel and all that fun jazz. You got your little KD coupler there, of course. But overall, these cars look pretty freaking sharp here. Just really, really impressed with the overall look of these for a kit. They really came out nice, and we'll have to go ahead and we'll compare our decal arrangement to some prototype photos. I'll have to go ahead and pull that up and we'll use pictures and see how everything compares up. All right, everyone here. So the first car we're looking at here is the 5687. As you can see, the Bowser car on the bottom, prototype photo on the top. It's pretty close. As you can see, the lube plate's a little bit different, and then there's one of those ACI car tracker deals on the actual prototype cars, but I can live with it. That's all small stuff you can change, you could patch out and do yourself. These ballast hoppers really got a lot of changes done to them with all that stuff in the real prototype world, so I like Bowser's attempt here. It's pretty close. You can see with this car. I couldn't find pictures of the other two cars, so I'm just going with prototype photos that are close, but you can all see it's pretty much almost perfect. Again, just some minor stuff like the lube plates and the having one of the wheel dots and that kind of stuff can vary from car to car. All right, so I got my 5687 here. This car is going to weigh in at 2.65 ounces. It seems a bit on the light side there. Let's see what our other cars weigh. Again, the only difference with these is they have roller bearing trucks on them. 2.61. And we've got 2.61. So overall, these are a little bit on the light side. But with them being a kit, you obviously could very easily add weight to. And for reference here, I'm going to take one of my other Bowser cars. This is one I built a while back. It was an undecorated. And 4.37 is what I'm running in my actual fleet car, though, 4.41. So you'll have to add probably an ounce or two of weight to these cars. But that's not really a big deal, at least to me, because again, I didn't put the load in here because I make my own loads, so I could easily add weight in here and then put a load over the top and no one will notice. So let's go over and let's check out these cars on the layout. All right, everyone, so we're back over here on the layout now. I know this is going to be a little bit more of a brief review demo thing. I'm not doing the wheel gauge as well as coupler height. The reason I'm not doing wheel gauge is because I put my own aftermarket metal wheels on it, the tangent semi-scale wheels. I did use the 33-inch style ones. And then I also did, with changing out the trucks on two of the cars, I'm also not going to do coupler height because it kind of blurs the line a little bit. One note I will make is on the two cars here that I did swap out the trucks to the roller bearing style, I did have to add KD washers to get them up to the right height. But the car I used, the factory Bowser 70-ton trucks, I did not have a coupler height issue. So just keep that in mind if you're going to swap anything over on the trucks, to make sure you check out your coupler height because it's probably going to get a little bit off. So make sure you keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and let's run these cars a little bit here, and then I'll give you my closing thoughts on these. All right, everyone. So while we watch another shot here of the train going by, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my closing thoughts and remarks on these 70-ton ballast car kits here from Bowser. Overall, I'm very, very happy with them. Really, really happy to see a kit come back and kind of come out for a very reasonable price. With the just ridiculous prices I'm starting to see on freight cars anymore, it's really a breath of fresh air to see a manufacturer come out with a kit that's uh, pretty nice detail. It's kind of like your mid-range of detail. It's not all the wire fancy pants stuff, but the molding on it's pretty crisp, pretty sharp. It's kind of fine-ish. It's not too fine, but it's not super thick either. And also to see these made in the USA is kind of a pretty big deal to me because everybody and their brother said, "Oh, it cost $100 for a kit and all that BS." And here you guys can see $24.99 each direct from Bowser for these kits. So I'm really glad to see that. I hope Bowser does more of this in the future, does more of these kits made in America um, for a great price. I mean, there's no reason that we should be paying out the nose for this stuff, and it's good to see a manufacturer that's actually making something like this happen. So make sure you guys go over and order these. Order them, order them, order them. Support Bowser, show them some love with these. Again, I'm to the moon and back, and I hope we see more of these in the future from them. So, as always, guys, I am CR Steve, and I want to thank all of you for watching. Let me know down there in the comments if any of you picked these up and what you think of them.